Hi, my name is Michelle Lee. I work at KCD. I'm originally from New Jersey. Now I live in New York for 15 years. Well, I've been working here for 10 years at KCD, and I originally started as a producer of fashion shows and fashion events, and I don't think anybody ever wants to be a casting director. I think it's something that you just kind of fall into as you do other things within the industry. I don't think anyone really even knows that it exists. I didn't know it existed before I started working here. I did a stint with Jennifer Venditti, and that was my first introduction to casting. And then thereafter, I guess production and casting, they're kind of in the same world, and you kind of you have the same focus almost. So it shifted. I kind of inclined towards the model side of it, and it was something that I understood and that I gravitated towards, and KCD was nice enough to let me, I guess, flourish in that area. The shows that I cast are Marc Jacobs and Mark by Mark, which is men and women. Now I'm doing Richard Chai, men and women, Isaac Mizrahi, women, Chloe. What else? I have in the past cast Gucci when it was Frida Giannini's first 2 seasons. I cast Sean John for about 4 years, not the very last show, but prior to that, and that was an experience. And then, out of season, I would do resort shows and whatnot. Done stints for Ralph Lauren as well. But for the most part, the first mentioned, those are the ones that are ongoing clients. Oh, I'm not going to mention it. There are a couple that I might be casting this season in Milan and London, but we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted. I wouldn't say that it's harder to cast men versus women or vice versa. I think it really depends on the client. Some clients are very directional and they want it to be one cohesive look, and others are kind of more character driven and they just want models who kind of make them feel a certain way or have a certain special type of energy or quality about them. So it's more like you pick all these different characters almost like you would see on the street, or more like individuals. It's much harder, I think, to cast a show that is completely directional. So you have those shows like Jill Sander and Prada, which even Prada has kind of gone a little bit more away from that completely one direction. But you do have clients who want, like Calvin Klein is a very good example. It's a very tight cast. Those are the shows that do their exclusivities, which, I've certainly worked on that as well. I think that's a much more difficult thing to do than kind of picking out these special little characters, which, not to discredit the kind of casting that I do or any other casting person, but it's just much easier when you're not kind of confined to one look. On the other side of it, the shows that I work on that are very large in volume, that is difficult as well. Marc Jacobs is a perfect example. Mark by Mark, we have anywhere from 60, sometimes 70 models in a show, and to keep all of that contained in a very short amount of time. We're talking about looks, fittings, casting, all within a matter of 3 to 5 days. Between myself and my assistant, it's a lot of work to keep that all managed, and also have a client who's quite demanding on the schedule that they want, which everyone knows notoriously Marc Jacobs works all night, every night. So I guess it's not about the difficulty of men or women, it's really more the direction that you're going in and what's available to you. I guess what I have learned over the past couple seasons, I've taken on a couple of smaller designers, both for men and for women, and I'd say that is a lot more difficult to cast than the big designers in a different way. I mean, they all have their intricacies that you have to work around, That's why people hire, outsource casting directors. But on the smaller shows for less known designers that maybe don't have a huge stylist, and even if they do, it's a much harder sell. So if you don't have a big budget and coupling that with it being a new name, relatively unknown, you have to work that much harder to kind of get the good models, be it male or female. And I'd say more than working on a big show that's completely directional, or working on a big show that doesn't pay the models and uses 60 models, or a big show that has the budget, but it's a big show, it's a big name. Working on a smaller designer with no budget, that's when you really you work for your money. You meaning me.